Assalamu alaikum, everybody. This is Nusra Wright, and today is the 29th of June 2023, and I'm still here in Spain. I'm definitely having Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Nusra Wright, and today is the 29th of June 2023, and there's a few things that I wanted to touch on with the newfound information that I discovered about this country, Spain, Malanga, the city, that this was the original city of Mecca. I talked about the combined nations of the Morocco, the Andalusia, and I talked a little bit about Morocco and the Holy Lands and how all of these lands were one empire, like one nation, and they were all combined, but after war, there was a separation. And not only with the separation, there was a lot of changes of names, where the history that previously would have been well known has changed, and the people that resided on the land were displaced or removed or killed during the wars, most of them. So you have now today the land, although it's sacred and it's holy land, the practices of that's supposed to occur on the land are not being practiced. The people, even some of the people, are unaware of the sacredness of this land in Malanga, Spain. And as I'm traveling a little bit through this region, this area, the city, I'm starting to uncover that the downtown city center is very much situated like the Medinas of Morocco. The only thing is that the Medinas of Morocco has been quite neglected, and in Spain they've managed to facilitate a more cleaner Medina, where the buildings and the streets are clean and paved, whereas in Morocco, when reside a different people there are of a different nationality, I would say, today, and they are more of I don't want to just say black people, but they're more of the native Arabic-speaking Berber people, and their circumstances are far worse, more impoverished, less funded, and the Medinas has been neglected. Although there's many people that go there and visit it, it's very different from Malanga, Spain, because they have the same thing here. So, and just to give you just a little history, the Medinas, as we understand, when I was traveling throughout Morocco, whether it was Marrakesh, Fez, Casablanca, or any other city, they have an older area that is kind of like a city within a city, where you still have the old structure and the original structure. And within that city, you have homes, you have apartments, you have people living streets and shopping. And you also usually have, like in Malanga, it's the same thing. I think it's called it's called something. I want to give you the correct name, but I'll put it in in my post so you'll know. But it's very popular. It's lots of people that go there. It's much more cleaner. And then on the side of it, you have history of the Muslims, the Moors. You have history of the different mosques that now they have. Most of them have been changed to cathedrals. And a lot of things have changed. You have history of ancient monuments and also, as well as ancient stones down in that area. So I took a couple of photos just to give the people who are viewing some of my posts just a little bit of my experience and show them exactly what is down here, because sometimes you hear things or see things, but you don't really get an inside understanding of it. One of the things that really amazed me is that in the Muslim faith, you have, or I should say the Islamic faith, you have something called Shafi and Maliki madhab. There are different schools of thought, scholarly schools of thoughts that Muslims, follow, and it comes from varying older scholars, previous people who I guess advised through their scholarly works, and they use the information to pretty much help different sect of Muslims to a certain way of thinking and how they view the religion and how they follow the religion. Well, I don't assign to anything of that nature, but it's very much within the within the Islamic faith that you'll find. And when I was down in the city center of Malaga, Spain, which I'm here now in Spain, Malaga, Spain, yes. And I saw the Maliki madhab, the scholar. They had a statue of him. They had information about his history. And one of the things that they would say in the Muslim world is that, or in the Islamic world, is that a lot of the hadiths and the traditions of the Messenger, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, were translated or interpreted by varying people, and some of them were family members, some of his, and they say, and also they say that some of them were his followers, and then some of them were people who came after in the religion. So what pretty much the scholar, the madhab is about, and this particular scholar, Maliki, is that they said that he was Jewish, but actually there were Jewish and Christians who were the ones who just made decisions on which hadith, which hadiths were going to be regarded throughout the Muslim world. And then there were other hadiths and books that were kind of discarded. And even when it comes to the Arabic language, there were older languages, older dialects of the Arabic language that was completely disregarded because it didn't go along with the new modern Middle Eastern Arabic dialect. So it came from roots of Spain, Andalusia, Morocco, Africa. It comes from varying Berber people that they just did not regard. And so a lot of those, the history that they had, or they talked about, the doings and the saying of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was pretty much not considered. So one of the things that they claim is that the Maliki scholar was Jewish, which then in another statement is saying he was doing Muslim work. Well, he definitely had on Muslim garment, and he, and his work was for the faith of the Muslim belief. So those are two things I need to just kind of get more information on. But as I continue to read and go throughout the Medinas of Spain, which they don't call it that here, because everything was changed, very few people would consider it that. They would call it have another name for it, or it would just be translated in Spanish, so you really can't identify what the meaning of it is. But if you just look at the history and you try to get some understanding of what was here before the change of the people and the language, it was Arabic. And the area was the Holy Land of Mecca. And the people came here to practice as they practice, as you see now in the modern area of Saudi Arabia, Mecca. That land does not tie back like this land ties back to the Roman city of Mecca. These are things that happen during war that people refuse or just are afraid to talk about. They're afraid to uncover history. They're afraid to uncover truth. They're afraid to give knowledge and facts about the land and the places that exist, that anyone can go on these lands and research and find out. And that's my main concern, is how can there be an entire Islamic world and Muslim world with no knowledge of history that exists still. And I mean, it's not like these are ruins that you can't see or you don't understand. These are places that were not more than less than 100 years ago were still being practiced. It was just after wars that things started to change. In recent wars, Morocco for one, Marrakesh, the pilgrimage for another. These are not things that you can't tie back to a longer past, and a past going back, a greater past. And that's why you have me as the messenger here on the earth to give the guidance and guide people to the straight path. The Most High didn't separate his path. It's a straight path to him. So all of the people, whether you be Muslim, Christian, or any faith that's going under an umbrella and separating beliefs and misappropriating information and misadvising people of the sacred places to go and to receive the benefits of their worship and their pilgrimage, or the places that they need that is within the foundation of their belief, which we find in the Muslim belief, in the Muslim faith, then there's obviously a very serious concern here. And that is the purpose of the clarity and me actually having the opportunity to travel and see for myself. And as I learn and understand and things are being revealed to me, I give that information to the people that I understand. And and it's also the people that are able to get this information or obtain this information, their duty to seek more knowledge and understanding, so they will have a clear understanding. So, for me, in terms of like the land mass and the changing of the history and the different wars that occurred, so it is the responsibility to do that. Is better than to be in complete ignorance about the faith and the history. I used to wonder why so many people in the United States have, people of, I would say, of color, people that parents lived in the United States or lived in urban ghettos and communities were so, uneducated. The education that they received was so little compared to some other areas, because knowing history empowers you to understand yourself, and it empowers you to teach others the truth. But if you have a people who are uneducated and being miseducated about where certain places are and what exists and what didn't exist at a certain time, where it's relevant to their very existence and their very faith and the existence of the earth and how things were created and how the Most High blessed certain lands. This is very important to know. And another thing is, you will find in the United States, in certain communities, mainly communities people of color, where they call them black people or people of color, that they don't have the access and opportunity to travel outside of their environment. And they say it's really because of economics, but it's not just a question of economics, it's depriving one of having understanding and being able to go to these varying places and see for themselves and get a better understanding of the history. I'm 46. It took me this long before I was able to tread these lands and see what it really is, because I was given a complete false understanding of what it was. I was only given history to the point of what is currently after the war, and that's what I was taught. And I didn't just go through grade school and high, and secondary and so forth. I went up to a college, university level. So to not have that understanding or not be taught the true information and not be given the knowledge and the history accurately is really a sad situation, from the standpoint of education. So when I get some knowledge that is from before, that's being made clear to me from my past life, because again, I'm prophetess Miriam, then I try to give that information to all, because it's not just the urban, that's just a scenario for me and where I came from, but there's people that live on the land that doesn't have knowledge of the land itself and the history. There are scholars that don't understand what happened in the past of Isa, last name, which they call Jesus, and Maryam, that I'm here to clarify and bring truth and understanding to. So it's not just a question of only educating people who live in urban communities or were deprived certain ways of learning or having the certain access to information and knowledge, but it's everybody, because all knowledge lies with the Most High, with your Creator, and He's the one who gives the knowledge. So that's something that I wanted to touch on. And another thing I wanted to touch on is that when I'm traveling, I find something that is very disturbing to my soul, and it's really the fact that I'm traveling among people and I'm finding that they're being told or advised to be stingy. And I was just reading in the Quran about or be abusive to me or not provide accommodations, where I'm at days not having housing or a hotel. And it's not that I don't have wealth. It's the fact that I do not have access to it because I have wealth. And I do have a family. And I do have a father that's living. My mother passed away, but I do have a father. And it makes no sense that I could be in a position where I don't have basic necessities of life that is afforded to everyone. Even a person with minimal income can have that. And I feel that the abusive nature of what's happening needs to be, kind of put to the forefront. Because as I was reading the Quran today, I was reading Surah An-Nisa. It's the Surah 4 of the Quran. And I'll just kind of give you guys a little bit of a part of it that I read. And as the Most High was speaking to me, the messenger, and it rang a bell that I should maybe make this public so people would understand the serious nature of what's happening. And so I will, upload that, and as well as this video, inshallah. And I'll give you more information. To be, the Most High speaks against being stingy. And he said that men have it in their heart, but they have to pray, so they won't be. And being stingy is someone who's unwilling to give, unwilling when they have, not when they don't have, but when they have, and unwilling to help others, unwilling to do kindness and goodness of things that can help someone else, and it can be done on many different levels. So to want to just care about every little penny and close your pockets and not want to give to people, and you see someone without, then that's not a good thing that the people are being told to do or practicing. And I'm finding that when I visit different countries, that's a lot of that's the mentality that I find most of the people are practicing. At the same time, I'm seeing that they're very, very much involved in luxuries and spending and I don't want to say gluttony, but having more for themselves and walking past someone who don't have anything. And being in the position where I had to see it firsthand from my personal experience, I could see, how someone who's in a position where they are maybe suffering or don't have a poor, that how it can easily just be looked over. And that kind of goes back to how I was saying that the Medinas over in Morocco is far worse than what you see the Medina here in Malanga, Spain. It's like night and day. You almost wouldn't even recognize it. It's the Medinas you're walking through because they've personally fixed it. Of course, it's two separate countries, but it just gives you an understanding of how where wealth can be where wealth can be placed, and then another place where people can be deprived. If I feel that if you are going to this is all one empire, and it was all lands together. It was all a part of the Andalusia, Spain. If you can take from a trust to preserve the history of the land here in Spain, where the people are much of you see of Caucasian descent or other descent, then you can do it for people who the Moroccan darker skinned people who's going through the Medinas, and preserve those places in its best way as well. But this is and sometimes if there's a race barrier, and sometimes the discrimination or the deprivation is based on other things. But when I visit a country and I see it firsthand, and I see that people are unwilling to help in the smallest way, then I definitely, and I'm reading it in the Quran, and I see and I'm firsthand experiencing the abuse, then I have to speak out about it, because I don't want what I read to occur, and the people are heedless of why and what's going on, because they're in their own world, spending and living their lives and not thinking about the basic things that have to be done on the earth that's important to everyone. And that's making sure that you give back. That's making sure that you strive to not act in a way that is stingy towards others, but you strive to help others. And so that's very much important. And again, as I said, I have wealth, so the fact that could even exist, with all the wealth that I have, and I'm of the royalty, is unheard of, but it's happening. And many nations that I visited have allowed it to happen. And I don't go anywhere where my trust and my wealth is not following. But if it does not reach me to the point where I do not have accommodations and basic needs met, food, necessities, clothing, housing, it's serious. So I just wanted to touch on that, and then of course, as I continue to travel and upload photos and give more information, inshallah I will. So I'm gonna say peace for now, everyone, and my salams.